This is how we do it, folks. It's so bad it's good with Ryan Bailey. This is your Tuesday episode. Uh it's January. Don't tell me it's January 3rd. It's Tuesday, January 3rd. I'm almost positive that it's January 3rd. I really hope. Wait, you know what? Let me check my calendar. Okay, folks, I was right. January 3rd. It's Tuesday. We're safe. How is everybody's beginning of the new year? Is it good? Is everybody sticking to their New Year's resolutions? Just so you guys can follow along at home, this is day 2 of me being off the sauce. And of course, when I say the sauce, I mean Diet Coke. And I have to tell you, it's not been great. Like I've sad to admit that I'm like I'm a headaches. I'm getting headaches from that's how you know. Like there's got to be like 4 2-liter bottles of Diet Coke that has not entered my body so far this year, and my body's expecting it. It's horrible. It's tragic, but I'm sticking to it. Day 2. I mean, listen, life has lost all meaning and sense of enjoyment at this part, but if I need to do it just to prove to you guys I can do it and prove to myself, I'm going to do it. So day 2, no Diet Coke. How is yours, you guys? Are you sticking? Has everybody lost all the weight they wanted to lose already this year? Has everybody learned their new languages? Has everybody called and made amends to all their friends? Is that AA or is that New Year's? I always get those things mixed up. But I hope you're having a good start to the new year. This is when, and you know what? I might have to quit podcasting because this is when I would just grab the big thing of Diet Coke with the good ice and I would just sip it as I recap shows. And now I have no interest in doing podcasting anymore at all. I just want to go to sleep. I'm kidding for the most part. You guys, we're going to do a couple entertainment stories, talk about the New Year's, and then we're going to go into Real Housewives of Miami episode 3, baby, over on Peacock. You don't even need Peacock to enjoy it. This season is awesome. If you want to hear me try to do just horrific imitations of these ladies, this is the recap for you. And also remember, there's timestamps on these shows, so you can skip directly to that. We did a pop culture roundup with Sophie today. It was pretty goofy. I really didn't think we'd put out a show, but we did. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Shout out to all my Patreon baddie members. Thank you for sticking with us over there. I've got some things planned for this week. Let's see. I want to talk about New Year's, but I do want to talk about tonight in about 35 minutes, the Lamar Odom special on Fox airs. Have you guys heard about? I know I've talked about this before, but it airs tonight. It's produced by TMZ, so you know it's good. And Fox put this on prime time, and then tomorrow it's going to be on Hulu. But just the title alone is just not great. It's the title of this is called TMZ presents Lamar Odom, Sex, Drugs, and Kardashians. I imagine if you're the Kardashians, you're like, wait, you had to throw our name in there? Please. My God. But Lamar Odom is doing an hour-long special where he talks about how much he did drugs like behind Chloe's back and hooked up with all these girls. And then he makes accusations like Dennis Hoff, he's now dead, but the owner of that brothel that he had a stroke at, he says he was trying to kill him. Like, I'm like, I got to watch this, but I'm not going to stay up tonight and watch it. So I might do a special Patreon episode just on the Lamar Odom special. We'll talk about the highlights later on this week on that. But my God, could you think about your world's shittiest boyfriend or girlfriend, the one that really, really hurt you in so many ways. And then imagine turning on TV and going, tonight on Fox, 9 p.m. Ryan Bailey's ex. It would be your worst flipping nightmare. So I got to watch that bad boy. And also I'm still curious because they keep advertising that it goes on Hulu tomorrow, and Hulu has an exclusive deal, I thought, with the Kardashians. So Kris Jenner, I don't put anything past her where I'm like, I bet she's a producer on this show. I bet she's like, Lamar, would you be willing to talk about all the shit you did behind my daughter's back? There's a paycheck in it for you. It's like, okay. But imagine when you get to that point of your career, we see this all the time in pop culture, where you need new revenue streams because you cannot play basketball anymore. And so we found like last year, I mean, rest in peace, but he did a celebrity boxing match with Aaron Carter, I believe. And thankfully he won. But, we're at that point of your career where you can't even get Dancing with the Stars. So then you're having to sell like Kardashians. You're having to put Kardashian name, even though you're not even married to Chloe anymore, in things just so you can get a paycheck. And like, I mean, wouldn't that be the worst of having to keep making money off your worst mistakes in your life? Like, he seems sober in this, but like, how would that? I just feel like you would open yourself up to so much criticism. Yeah, I mean, all of a sudden you're gonna have weird guys on podcasts talking about it and stuff. So, I mean, I'm very excited to watch it, but it kind of just shows you how bizarre what entertainment is these days. Okay, I was interested in this, New Year's, the concept of New Year's Eve, New Year's, and the holidays in general. Because I'm a depressive, there is this natural sadness that I put with everything, right? And I do this with everything. I will even make Housewives scenes where I'll watch it like a different time and I'll get really sad. I'll be like, well, it was really emotional when Dorinda broke up with John Medesian. I worry about that. Like you get emotional depending on the time of year that you watch these things. And I was thinking like that's Old Lang Syne, the song, like may old acquaintance be forgot. Da, da, da. So you want to know what that means? I had to remind myself. Old Lang Syne was originally a Scottish poem that was later set to music, and the phrase Old Lang Syne translates literally to old long since in English, and it means something kind of like time goes by. Time goes by. And right there, I'm like, I'm at, listen, this Diet Coke, like I'm like crying at like Pampers commercials right now. I'm like, everything's emotional, but it means time goes by. And then I was thinking, Old Lang Syne, you have the New Year's Eve song that everybody sings, and it's at the end of It's a Wonderful Life. But how I remember that phrase in the beginning was driving around. I remember this specifically in Olathe, Kansas, where I grew up. You'd be in the car with your parents and they would be on their easy listening station or whatever it was. And I remember this song called Same Old Lang Syne by an artist who's since passed away. His name is Dan Fogelberg. And his name, like, you want to talk about a soft rock god. Like the name Dan Fogelberg is just, like that's not a hard rock name. That's like soft rock name. But I'll tell you, this Same Old Lang Syne, I remember. This is how weird of a kid I was, though. I heard this at like 11 or 10 years old. I'm probably, it was like, I don't know what year it was. And it tells the story, you guys, of this guy who goes to a grocery store like on Christmas Eve and bumps into his ex from a long time ago. And they talk about the memories of the new year. And I remember this was just so me, is that I would always put myself in these songs. I remember when a man loves a woman, I remember like imagining me eventually loving a woman. I remember that my dad was into the Eagles, so I would like borrow his Hotel California album. And there was this really sad Don Henley song on there. What is the Don Henley song from Hotel California that always makes me cry? Wasted Time. And I was like, I gotta have been 9 or 10, and I'm sitting here daydreaming about having full relationships that have broken up. Like imagine a 10-year-old never being in a relationship, but already fantasizing about one day breaking up in relationships and being sad about it on major holidays. That is exactly. So there's a lot of stuff going on pop culture wise. So let's get to some of those stories before we get into the Miami recap. Wow. I just can imagine, because I'm trying to record this for YouTube as well, you guys. So I'm like hitting stop record on 3 different programs. It's going to make, I need to be in a studio so badly. Oh my God, Real Housewives of Potomac on Sunday night. I got to watch it today. And what the fuck is up with that show? It's like the best players in the world, but the worst storylines of any Housewives show right now. It's just painfully bad. And listen, I've had my issues with Candace Dillard Bassett, it all started during that Monique season when I really disliked her, but now I really am getting to like her, and I'm kind of empathizing because it is so weird how these women are all out to try to target Chris as some kind of creepy dude making moves on people. And I'm like, the balls on this after you had Michael Darby on the show, literally like sexually assault crew members. And then Chris, who's usually just minding his own business, making food and growing out his beard. And then you're trying to like all these random girls. And the one girl, you guys, I mean, I'm not trying to make fun of anybody's look, but Candace said it best, was that this girl had a Sesame Street look to her. She's like, Chris did things to me. Chris was very friendly to me at the bar. Ah. And I'm like, even me, I'm like, wait a sec. And the thing is, they have the footage of it, and you get to see how perspective is everything, right? How context is key in these shows. One person telling us a story does not a story make it true, And so we see it from these two different angles, from this lady saying that Chris hit on her, from the actual then scene where it's the same dialogue, but a completely different intention, where you could tell Chris was bored, like, oh yeah, cool. A lot of people's names is Chris. That's very cool. Okay. Good to meet you. Good to meet you. And then tried to say that Dr. Wendy's husband, Eddie, was hitting on her too, and we call him Smiley Eddie. And I'm like, Eddie smiles at anything. And even Eddie was smiling about being called Smiling Eddie. It's like, and this girl, no offense, but like, if you're going to say that everybody hits on you, you damn well better be a 12 out of 10. You better be like an insane knockout. But I don't want to, what made it funny is that she kind of isn't. I don't know her personality very much because she's only been featured a couple of episodes. But then you have this other friendship, this Jacqueline Mia friendship, that they're really trying to shove down our throats. But I don't think we know or like Mia enough yet to really trust having a storyline with a new friend that they're bringing on. Now, Karen Huger doing her stand-up, not her stand-up, doing her show at the Improv. Listen, it's always going to be entertaining. It's going to always do enough. Like, listen, is it better than Salt Lake City? Yeah. I mean, Salt Lake City solely exists right now in just this weird multiverse that it works because it doesn't work at all. It's painful to watch, and in a way that makes it work. But this Potomac, it just bums me out because every one of those players on that team is so damn good. It's just that they don't have the storylines this season. And what they're trying to focus on is these relationship things that just there's no mileage in them. So none of us can take it seriously. And it just lets the air out of the whole show, if that makes sense. So I enjoy watching it, but you're kind of like, oh man, they just don't seem to have the stories this year. And that's fine. It doesn't make, but also the Giselle shit after people, it's played out, especially when you don't come clean with your relationship with Jamal ever, and how that all went down. But anyways, that's all out there. Sister Wives, of course, was part 2 of the reunion on Sunday night. And if you want to hear a guy whine and moan, you can listen to this show, but you could also watch Sister Wives episode 2, because there was this great moment where he comes in and he tries to hug the host. She makes it real clear she's not going to hug him. And it's like, I live for those moments because I've been in those moments so many times where I'm like, okay, we're doing the handshake. Okay. No, I got it. No. But Cody also is just a creep and a half. And I'm sorry, I do not like old Robin, which, by the way, congrats to Robin for bringing down the brows. She's not coloring them in as heavy, and it works. I will compliment it. You look very nice with natural brows instead of whatever in the hell Burton or anything you were doing for the last couple of seasons. But it's hard because this guy is just a whiner. This guy really, I mean, it's like, I understand when women complain about men. Like, I then think about people like Cody, and I'm like, they're right. They're damn right. Because this Cody cannot see what's going on from a mile away. And he thinks he is the one. He's like, who's really being persecuted? The white man. He goes, these women aren't listening to their husband. And that's what's, it is so, he is so off. And listen, I would almost bought a cameo from him. It was like $100. And I was like, I don't want to waste $100 on like that. But then a part of me was like, it would have been funny to be like, Cody, I'm so pro you, Cody. How you hanging in there, man? Remember, men rule, women suck. You deserve all the wives in the world, Cody. So I'm kind of sad the season's over, but good news. They are filming a new season. Christine is in it. She's already filming. So don't worry. They have a new season. Also, we talked about the Jeremy Renner story. Had happened last night, right when I was recording the intro, and he was airlifted. And we've got a couple little more pieces of the information. His Bobcat, he was trying to make a path because his lodge in Tahoe got snowed in, like it did for a lot of people. They got snowed in, but he had machinery like this, tons, like, weighing tons of machinery, and this machinery should have stopped, and it supposedly rolled over his leg. And also there was a chest problems as well, so he is in critical condition, but it says he is talking and aware, so hopefully everything is all right with him, because that, I mean, the more I read about it, I was just like, holy moly. Also, remember today, if you are, and I know this is weird because pop culture, it's like reality shows, but we've made true crime pop culture. If you are following those Idaho murders, remember today is the extradition trial. I believe it's at like 11, like 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If that's something of interest to you, this Brian guy that's allegedly the murderer, they're going to extradite him back to Idaho. So that extradition trial will be on, and it's going to be probably on all the news things. So also, this was really crazy. I know this isn't a sports show, but this has been all the news tonight as I was getting ready for this. The Buffalo Bills were playing the Cincinnati Bengals, which is Sophie's team. And in the first quarter, Damar Hamlin he got hit, and the hit didn't look insane. I mean, like, listen, any hit's going to hurt me, but this, by NFL standards, didn't look insane. But then he immediately got up and he just went down like a rag doll, and they were giving him CPR, and it was really dramatic to watch. And all the players took a knee around him. The ambulance finally came. He is now currently in critical condition at a nearby hospital. So please send out your prayers for Damar Hamilton. Also, this leads us right into Miami. Well, actually, Jen Shaw, speaking of sports, did go to her husband's game at the Rose Bowl today. If you guys were wondering if she was there in Pasadena, and she looked fierce, you guys. And then I was looking at people's tweets like, Jen, I would be honored if you would join our tailgating party. And I'm like, stop treating criminals like celebrities. This is like the fucking, like, even about the Idaho murders, this guy Brian, that, it seems like he almost wants to have a Netflix series for him one day. Stop making criminal celebrities. Stop it. There's like actual good people in the world that we can look up to and make them celebrities. But no, I'd be honored if you come to my tailgate. I'd be honored if you let me fart in your face, Jen Shaw, please. But remember, the Friday is the sentencing for that. We will be covering that potentially live on here. And then leading us into Miami, which I swear will be a lot of fun and funny. But we had horrible news today. And this does involve Miami, that Julia's wife, Martina Navratilova, I always say that name, not amazing, Navratilova, she announced today that she was diagnosed with stage 1 throat cancer, and then also early stage breast cancer was rediscovered. And what's so interesting is that I'm not such a huge fan of sports, as you guys know, but everything I've read about her and people writing about her was saying, really what she means to tennis and what a warrior she is. And that's really what it takes, I think, to fight things like this. And she even said, listen, needless to say, my phone and Twitter are both blowing up. So I'll say thank you for all your support, and I am not done yet. And I just think, like, that's probably the competitor in her of like, listen, things are going to suck for a while, but I'm going to get through this. And I think that is such a great message to have, to put out there, is that things will be bad for a little bit, but hopefully in the end, this will be better. And that's what I trying to kind of relay to my mom as well, who she's going through that stuff. And I don't really want to give an update on that yet, but I'll do that later in the week. But let's get into Miami. Let's get into dun, 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 dun. Listen to Miami, baby. Okay. So this is Real Housewives of Miami, episode 3. This is on Peacock, but like I said, you don't need to have it. I'm going to walk you through the entire episode. It's called Date Night Disaster, which is what I've called all of my date nights. Thank you, Dan Fogelberg. This is season 5, episode 3. The description they give the cable company, which I always think gives you context clues for the episode. It says Alexia questions whether Adriana's wedding date is married. Ooh, Lisa's date night with Lenny goes awry. And I'm like, dude, your whole marriage has gone awry. And let me just say to you, Katarina Zarempa, or whatever your name is, Katarina Mazeppa is her name. She's a fashion model. This is the other woman that Lenny has like been perving out on for the last couple of years. This Instagram account, I Live for Bravo, found that they had been leaving each other comments, like little emojis, like it's like the same emoji for a year, for like at least over a year. So I always think that's creepy. It seems like he had a thing for her for a very long time, and you like, it just really upsetting to see that he truly has left his wife for this 27-year-old who is married as well, and she was married to a diplomat. And they had moved to Washington, D.C. from Italy in 2019. She filed for a divorce on June 16th, 2022, after she was already with Lenny. And this guy's a good-looking dude. I mean, Lenny is not nearly as good-looking of a dude as this. I mean, listen, I don't know dudes for dude, but this guy looks like a good-looking dude. And he would put little, like, it looks like the parrot emoji. Like that must have been a thing for them, the parrot emoji, like a little cute thing. It's not cute though when you're fully cheating on your wife that you have 2 kids with, right? Cheating's cute if you don't have kids. So I'm livid. And I told you guys this already, but you guys saw that video. I saw it on Queens of Bravo of at the Formula One race where Lisa comes up to Lenny. I'm going to be screaming about this for months and years to come. And she dares to give one of these little lips. I told you, she gave a little lick to Lisa, like, I got your man. How dare you? When you come for Lisa, you come for the entire Bravo audience. When you're giving that disgusting licking motion, even though you're a very attractive woman, but that doesn't matter because you're a horrible woman at the same time, you have messed with all of us. You have given that disgusting lip motion to all of us, and we will not stand for it. This aggression will not stand. Lenny and this, whatever this other one, let's just call her the other woman, they're dead to us. They're dead to us. Nobody get their boobs done from Lenny Hochstein. Nobody let Lenny do anything with their bodies in Miami. That should just be a hard and fast rule. If you're thinking about getting something done to your body, a reduction, an amplification, whatever, do not go to Dr. Leonard Hochstein. That man is trash. He is just complete trash. But this episode, we're celebrating the marriage of Alexia and Todd. And remember, it took a lot to get us to this point because Alexia's mom passed away on their initial wedding day. So they eloped. So this is finally the party that they had wanted to have this whole time, to celebrate with their friends and stuff like that, because they didn't get the wedding that they wanted. So they're doing the wedding on the yacht. And we see they do this smart thing on this where they don't do on the other Housewives shows, is that they tease us with what we're going to see in this episode. So we have Marisol being like, I would be the biggest asshole if I let you fight tonight at Alexia's wedding. And then we see Lisa Hochstein in another scene going, you shut your mouth about my fucking family, to Larsa. By the way, if you drink every time I say mortgage, because mortgage is the word of the episode. And it is so funny because by the end of the episode, you realize Lisa doesn't actually know what a mortgage is. And then seeing actually what ended up happening to Lisa with her relationship, that really bums you out because you're like, okay, but mortgages totally aren't always a bad thing. But like, you would think more. You would think mortgage, I'm trying to think of like the word. You would think mortgage was like the C word, like that she's being called the C word repeatedly. Like, how dare you call me mortgage? How dare you do that to me? So also Adriana has brought this this guy named Terry, but you know he's a creep because he spells it Thereirry. No offense to all the people listening that spell their name like that out in the audience, but I always think the Terry should be spelled Terry or Teri, but Theirry. That's aggressive. That's excessive. And I don't think it should be encouraged. So Terry, I already knew this guy was a douchebag because it turns out he might be married. So we also have a very gripping scene with Peter, one of Alexia's sons, who's gotten into a lot of trouble over the years, if you've kept up with Miami. And we have this scene where Alexia's like, "Oh, I feel like the moms always get the beatings, but your dad is always perfect, and the bad one is me." Remember, I want to remind you guys, these are not good voices. They're just voices. But Alexia, we'll get to that scene. And then, of course, we have this scene where Lisa's going, "Should I call 911?" to her staff. And Lenny's like, "No, Lisa, don't call 911. For what? Do you understand what I'm saying?" And Lisa's like, "Oh my God." And we don't know what that is. So I'm like, "Oh shit, what are we calling 911 about?" And then we cut to the song. And then we're back on the yacht where we ended episode 2, where the MC's like, "All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to present Mr. and Mrs. Todd Napoli." And they just look beautiful, you guys. And Gertie lets out a scream like, "Yes!" And Marisol's like, "Beautiful," in between sips of her vodka. And then Nicole's laughing. All the ladies are having a good time on the top deck. I got to tell you, this is where this show also wins. Like I always say, the cinematography, they make Miami look so beautiful. It probably is beautiful. I've never been, but they make it look so delightful. And it's just a stunning backdrop. And the cameras are so high def that it just really, to me, this is the kind of wealth that Beverly Hills thinks they have. Beverly Hills looks dirty compared to Miami, or just the overall look of the entire show. So Todd and Alexia are dancing. Gertie keeps going, "Yes, yes." We see Julia and Adriana dancing. And then we see the back deck, and everybody's booty shaking on the back deck. So top deck, people are dancing. Back deck, it kind of reminds me of that scene in Titanic where they showed where all the people like Leota, like the poor people, like partied, and like Kate Winslet was damn. Don't get me started on Titanic right now. Do not get me. But anyways, Marisol's like, "Celebrate love. Let's celebrate love tonight." And the MC's like, "I'd like to invite everyone to please come this way. We're about to start this beautiful event." And Todd says, "Well, this is an outrageous crowd. I'm so happy you all came. Thank you very much. For Alexia, this means the world. It's, long overdue. And a lot of you guys, you don't know the story of how I met Alexia. A lot of you heard different stories how I met Alexia." And there's just light chuckles because I don't think anybody really thought it was that funny. And he goes, "But the truth is," and we see Marisol tearing up next to Larsa. "Well, when I asked her out, she said yes. She gave me a business card, and I didn't know what to do with that. But her number is on that card, but no one knows other than me is." And Alexia goes, "You still have the card?" And he goes, "I still have the business card." And I had two simultaneous thoughts. I need to get my hands on this business card for my reality show museum, because wouldn't that be just a nice piece, to really show off of this is the card? And secondly, like, so what? You kept the card. Like, do you know how much shit I've kept? It's like a classier hoarders over here. My storage unit, I've got napkins from Tom from like 3 years ago, like used napkins probably. Like, so what? You kept the bit, but it's cute. Everybody's like, "Oh my God." They all clap, and he's like, "Yeah." And we see shots of Nicole and her sweaty husband. He which reminds me of me. Like, every time I see this guy, he's got this big bushy beard, and he's kind of a little damp, which is like just classic me. Because I'm like, I feel like I would be. Miami's probably not the climate for me, just in how I sweat. But he says, "I never thought I would have a woman as spectacular as Alexia, and then I would gain 2 sons, and you would gain 2 daughters." And we get shots of his daughters, Gabriella and Sophia. But that's what this is. And I couldn't be happier than to be standing here with Frankie and Peter and Gabrielle and Sophie, and you girls, you daughters, I give you brothers. And they're all just smiling. It's really pretty. And Peter, I said it must be tough for Peter to be on this show, because what we know of Peter is that he's a very rough character, and most of the time, somebody like Peter, it would go unnoticed if their moms weren't on TV. And I'm not excusing his behavior, but just realize that a lot of people, like, we would never know about Peter, most likely, if it wasn't that Alexia was on TV. So it's got to be weird. And it unfortunately doesn't seem like it potentially has taught him a lesson yet. I hate to say that, but it just doesn't seem to, with the trouble that he got into with his current girlfriend a while back, which they talk about in this episode. So He goes, Alexia, Astrid, Napola, I love you. And she has white gloves on her hands and she's crying. It's just all pretty. And a talking head, Marisol, says, Alexia and I have been friends since the year 2000. The roads we have been through, the marriage, the hiccups. And Marisol, like I want to point out every episode just to give, just to pay homage, is Mama Elsa's daughter through and through. And every talking head, I just feel like she gets closer and closer to being Mama Elsa herself. Where I almost was like, Alexia and I have been friends since the year 2000. Yay! It's not there yet, but you're starting to hear a little bit of a lowering of the vocal cords. We go back to Todd and he goes, nothing I could give you today to show you how much I love you. Marisol back in the talking head goes, I can't believe we're finally here today. It's huge accomplishment. It's huge. And it's a really great day for my friend. The Marisol Alexia friendship is really cute. I mean, sometimes I think they push each other and agree with each other too much, but I still love to see actually good friends. But then he goes, we're back to Todd's speech, and he goes, I love when you call me your gringo. And then he speaks Spanish, and it says, like, this gringo speaks a little Spanish. And Marisol's in the crowd going like, oh my goodness, speaking Spanish. And Alexia is like, I'm loving it, baby. I'm loving it. And he's like, te quiero para siempre, mi amor. In a talking head, Alexia is like, Todd is everything to me, always been accepting of my sons, and he's close to me. It's why I fell in love with Todd. And then he goes, now I want to have fun. Who wants to have fun? And we see fireworks in the night sky, just insane cinematography of the Miami skyline. And we hear Marisol going, that's a pretty penny. I'm counting it by the minute. Because remember, she also is a party planner. Well, she used to be a publicist, so she's used to these events. But I also love friends that keep tabs on pricing. She's like, well, there's $1,000 right there. Adriana goes, I'm coming in, and they're kissing. There's more fireworks. And then Lisa says, I need a drink. And Nicole is talking with Kiki, and they went downstairs, and they all interspersed this with fireworks. And so we see Marisol, Lisa, Nicole, and Adriana sitting down. And Lisa says, listen, I'm amongst friends right now, so I'm going to tell you guys how I feel about this situation. And she's going to talk about the Larsa situation. Again, the Morgan situation. We see Larsa upstairs, and she's going, I need 5 or 6 shots right now. Larsa is such an interesting character. I'm so glad she's on this show. And her voice is so like, it's always like, I need 5 or 6 shots right now. There's a lightness that it's very interesting because it kind of really doesn't go with her actions a lot of the time. We cut back to Lisa, and she's like, I let my guard down now, again, thinking, that maybe this could go right with our friendship. And, I thought it was going well in the beginning. And all of a sudden Larsa walks in the room, and Lisa goes, hi, Larsa, we're talking about you. Yeah. And Larsa says, I don't want to argue with you at a wedding. That's crazy. And Lisa's like, but you're really mean. And Larsa goes, what's mean? And Lisa goes, your opinion was mean. And Lisa goes, you hit below the belt. And Larsa goes, what about mean? You're hitting below the belt. You're mean. And this is just a classic housewife argument of people parroting the same sentence back and forth. I think you're mean and hitting below the belt. No, I think you're hitting below the belt and you're mean. It's just back and forth. And Lisa says, you've done it with her. You've done it with her. And now you're doing it to me. And Larsa says, Lisa, I'm your friend. You have opinions. I have facts. And they're just talking all over each other. And then someone just says mortgage. And Lisa says, it's not about the mortgage. And Marisol covers her eyes, which you would usually cover your ears. But Marisol's like, I can't see this. And Nicole's face is like, yikes. And Lisa says, it's the fact that you're lying about me, Larsa. And Marisol says, I'd be the biggest asshole if I let you guys fight tonight at Alexia's wedding. And Larsa goes, we're not going to fight, which, by the way, is so funny because they literally are in the middle of a fight. And Marisol goes, let's table it. Let's table it. And Lisa goes, Larsa, why are you trying to hurt me? And Larsa goes, how am I trying to hurt you? And Marisol says, I'm going to throw everybody overboard if you don't stop. And Kiki goes, don't throw me overboard because I don't know how to swim, which is actually a very sad, it's like, I just thought that was great if like the needle dropped and all of a sudden we teach her how to swim. Then Lisa goes, you're trying to imply that I can't afford my lifestyle. Why? And you're thinking like, oh, this is so silly. What a silly fight. But then you kind of start to think about it. For somebody like Lisa, for a lady like this, being able to afford her lifestyle and to look like that to everybody else means the world to her, right? So this is life or death for her. because being able to prove that you are not a fraud, that you do have the money that you perpetuate to have with your clothing and your cars and your houses, it's everything to her. So of course she's going to get this angry. We might think it's completely silly, and it is, because our lives are just completely different. And Larsa's like, I didn't say that. Lisa, I didn't say that. And Lisa goes, and that's fucked up. And Larsa goes, I didn't say that. And Lisa goes, so you better shut your mouth about my fucking family, Lisa. And she's like spitting, and like she's really pissed off. And Marisol goes, Lisa, stop. Nicole's trying to grab Lisa's shoulder, and Lisa's like, you always tell me you're a great friend. And Nicole goes, come on, there's actual people coming. Let's just stop. Because this is actually a live wedding. We see people coming in, and Marisol says, guys, please, please, please. I do wonder how. I would love at certain points of the episode if we would just make Marisol blow into a breathalyzer. I would love to get her breathalyzer results like every 5 minutes on this show. Nicole in the talking head goes, Alexia has been through so much this past year. She really, really deserves a drama-free wedding. And I was like, well, she does, but it depends on how much the production paid for the wedding. If the production put in a lot for the wedding, then she doesn't deserve a drama-free. We need some drama. Nicole says to Julia, I don't know how many vodkas I've had, but it's definitely not enough. And Julia just says nothing. Like Julia, if she's having like, it's a very, Julia's just such an interesting character. Like it works in the sense that it doesn't work. She's so left of center in this really great way. But it's funny because when other ladies will try to like bounce off her, she just will give nothing sometimes. So we get shots of the family taking photos with the bride and groom. Julia is talking to Marisol, and Julia goes, I sell eggs. I sell eggs. And Marisol goes, you sell eggs. And Nicole says, well, I had lunch with Julia the other night, right? So this one was getting a sty, and she points at Adriana. And so Julia shows up with a hard-boiled egg in her purse. And I'm like, where the fuck is this story going? And Julia goes, in a vegan restaurant I did. And we get a flashback to this where Adriana's like going, Julia, what are you doing? And Julia says, it's my compress, my compression. American doctors don't do it, but in Russia, that's what we do. So she's putting a hard-boiled egg to cure Adriana's sty. I swear to God, Julia is just trying to get rid of these eggs. We saw last episode, like she has like 60 dozen a week. She's probably using these eggs on everything. Like they're like, it's like a Yanni egg. She's probably just jamming eggs everywhere. Who knows? Also, I've told you guys my sty story. One of the worst birthdays I ever had was I was on the set of, I used to come out here on the summers when I was in high school to work as an actor or even as an extra, or just to get experience. And I worked on the Lenny Kravitz American Woman music video. American Woman, get away from me. And it was for the Austin Powers soundtrack, Austin Powers 2. And I was like, okay, it was on my birthday. And me and my girlfriend at the time, we got booked on it as like dancers, and we had to wear like, I think like 70s clothes or something. And we pull up to this in like the desert. Like we had to drive like an hour and a half. And then they put us on a bus and drove us out even further so you couldn't get away. I started like, you weren't even near your car. And all of a sudden, like it was literally the middle of the desert. Like we were in the middle of the desert, and all of a sudden, like Lenny Kravitz is on the top, I think, for like some bus dancing with Heather Graham, the actor. It's like American Woman. And I'm like on the ground, just sand whipping my face. And it's my birthday. And like that, it just wears off really. Everybody's like, oh, Lenny Kravitz, that'd be so cool. It's cool for like about 10 minutes. And then you've heard like American Woman like 40 times in a row. And you're like, I don't even like this song anymore. And the sand is just whipping you. And I remember I got a huge sty because of Lenny Kravitz that I like, there are pictures, like 2 months of me with this fucking sty looking like Kyle from Summer House. And I always just mean like, every time I hear a Lenny Kravitz song, it sends shivers down my eye. Like it's horrible. So anyways, I didn't even think about this hard-boiled egg thing. I wish I had known about this. We're back on the boat, and Julia is like, you put the egg in and it helps you with your sty. And Marisol goes, I haven't tried. And then Marisol goes, I haven't tried your olive oil drinking yet either. I don't even get hangovers. Because remember, Julia drinks olive oil to stop from hangovers. And also, Marisol, you're not going to get a hangover because you never stop drinking. You would have to stop drinking to actually have the hangover start. We cut to the guys on the boat, and Anthony, Nicole's husband, the guy that's moist like I would be on this boat, he's trying to talk with the guys like Todd, and they're trying to make the guys of Miami a thing. They always do this with these housewife shows. And he's like, Todd, you put together an amazing event. I couldn't hear your speech at all, but you really talked, buddy. I felt like it was childhood to meeting Alexia. He's giving Todd shit. And Todd goes, hey, I rented the boat for 5 hours. I have 4 more hours. I might as well talk, huh? Russell, Gertie's husband, laughs. And I'm like, okay, do they have the charm? I don't feel it yet. I like these guys individually, but I don't know if they have the charm to come together like a Real Housewives of New Jersey team, or even, are those the guys that we like the most? Anyways, we cut to Julia meeting Terry, Thierry, Adriana's date. And Julia's like, you have a good handshake. I like it. Your date number 1 had a very wimpy handshake, referring to another date that Adriana had. They call him date number 1 and date number 2. We cut back to the guys. The girls come up, and Anthony goes, why are you always messing up the theatrical experience, to his wife? And Cole asks Anthony, how's your vodka? And he goes, my 87th vodka is going down just as nice as the first one. I'm a quarter Irish, so I can do this all night. And then Marisol and her husband, she goes, me and my husband are a quarter Irish too. And I'm like, no, Marisol, you just love drinking. Anthony goes, yeah, I can do this all night. Nicole says, Marisol can too. Marisol in a talking head goes, I would say the best drunks in the group are, hello, me first, Gertie, Lisa, and Alexia, very fun drinkers. Julia, forget it. No good at drinking, that one. And we get a flashback to Julia throwing up last season and them having to call an ambulance. I love when anybody talks about competitive drinking. Like, it's not like a wing eating competition. You're just drinking straight vodka. So Marisol goes to Anthony, I can outdrink all you motherfuckers. And I truly believe it. Like, Marisol is no joke. We see shots of the boat going under the bridge, the cake being wheeled out. Girls are up on the top deck. Lisa tells Larsa, you need to walk the plank. And I'm like, no, she said that last week's episode. She's like, where's the plank? And the guy was like, that's only on pirate ships. And walk the plank. And I'm like, stop. The fight's over. Like, why are you bringing this back up again? And Lisa goes, I don't know if I should love you or hate you, Larsa. And Larsa goes, love me. And Lisa says, Larsa, you are not being a friend right now. And Larsa goes, are you being a friend? And Lisa goes, are you being a friend? So we're back in the parroting action. Are you being a friend? I don't know. Are you being a friend? And Gertie in a talking head goes, I don't really care if what Larsa is saying about Lisa's fiance, Lisa's finances is true or not. I don't speak this language. I speak a lot of languages, but I don't speak bullshit. And Lisa says, I'm sorry. And Larsa goes, I'm sorry. And Lisa goes, you're sorry? Are you? And Larsa goes, yeah, I'm sorry. And Lisa says, well, I want to be done with this. And Larsa says, me too. Let's do a toast. And Gertie says, to Alexia, new beginnings, like the real deal. And New Beginnings was, of course, the party that Larsa threw. She got a title for her party in the first episode of the season, New Beginnings. So they all see it. I love how, Lisa can be so offended and then all of a sudden of like, are you sorry? I'm sorry. Let's be sorry. Let's do a toast and say we're sorry. Okay, we're sorry. Moving on. Larsa says, Lisa, I wanted to give you a rose, but it's an olive branch. I love you and I'm proud of you. Just don't say shit about me and we'll be great. And Lisa goes, don't say shit about me. And Larsa goes, I won't. And Lisa's kind of smiling right now. It's one of those fights between people that are like, they think they're like, it's a battle of wits, but it's not. It's just really basic. So Gertie, also somebody was making fun of Gertie's faces the other day. I think Gertie has the best reaction faces ever, because Gertie's like, you can just read it on her face. And I love it. I love a face that you can read. Anyways, they're all like, I'm ready to turn up. Let's go. And everybody's dancing. And the song is like, be a freak like me. You're gonna be a freak like me. And I was like, they want to be selling Sunset so bad. And my advice is go for it. Let's do a soundtrack for Miami. Seriously. Larsa takes Julia and says, we're getting married because I'm a real one. And Adriana says, don't get married yet. They're just all being flirty and drunk. The cake gets fed to the bride and groom. Lisa pretends to throw Larsa over, which could have just gone really bad. And Todd says to Alexia, I'm going to fuck that makeup. I'm going to fuck that makeup off. He goes, I'm going to fuck that makeup off, as they look at fireworks. And she goes, yeah, I like it. Hey, girl, I'm going to fuck that makeup off tonight, huh? Hey, I'm going to fuck that makeup off. And we cut to daytime the next day, oceans, beaches. We're in Alexia's apartment with Frankie and Todd. We see Todd come in and he goes, I got to go to the mall to buy a present. And they have one of those apartments, you guys, where the cars are in the apartment and then you drive the car into an elevator and then it goes down the high rise. This is like Batman level shit. I geeked out. Like, could you imagine my Corolla up there? Oh, just like, I just thought that was so cool. We're bouncing around all the housewives. We see Nicole in her car. She's calling a coworker. She's about to put in a 24-hour shift at the hospital. I always forget that Nicole works too, a real job. I mean, as a doc, like that's really amazing. But 24 hours, why do we do that to our doctors? Like, is it just that short staffed? Why are shifts that long? So we get shots of just everybody. Marisol saying it's time to relax. We get a shot of Lisa trying to pop a champagne bottle and not being able to do it. And she's like, Sandra, can I get your help for a second? One of her staff members. We're now at the Como restaurant and bar. Julia comes in and she's meeting with Allie and Josh and this other gentleman. And Kiki set this up for her. But basically, this whole scene is that she wants to revamp her modeling career. She wants to get back into modeling after, being a little bit older, having kids, coming out as a lesbian, being married to Martina. She wants to get back to that. And so she is meeting with representation, talking about the pics that she's going to have done. We get to see some of her old pics. And they're all very excited to work with her. And more importantly, her daughters want her to do it. They're like, good, please. You're going batshit crazy on that farm over there. I mean, who takes care of these animals when she's not there? That's what worries me. What if she books some big modeling jobs? Are those little sheep fucked? Who feeds the sheep when Julia's not there? I've been worried about those animals all week because I'm like, if Julia's booked and busy ever, who's going to get those eggs? Who's taking care of it? Adriana isn't over there taking care of those animals. So basically this whole scene, it's just like she's going to get back into modeling. I predict we'll see her do a modeling shoot by the end of this season, but it's great because it just shows that women of her age can work. And she says she's really proud that there's no more taboos about size or age. And she says she's a little self-conscious, of course, with so many years passing since she's did this last. She goes, my body used to be petite and has changed. And I'm not, completely in shape for my age, but I'm not going to be doing the same pics that I did when I was 18 or 20 years old. Definitely not my thing. And I'm like, yeah, there's a market for everybody. There's also a market for just being yourself. And hopefully 2023 is even a further impression that is true, is that we want to encourage people to be themselves. So basically they are going to start this process. And, she's like, hey, imagine a Russian model lesbian and going back into fashion, and I'm empowered now and I'm going to embrace who I am and not be hiding. And I was like, that's a really important lesson. Like this might be one of those like kind of boring scenes where you're like, okay, but that really, if you think about it, that's an important lesson that I think these housewives shows, they kind of sneak in sometimes that I like. She's like, I don't have to lie or pretend. So they're going to set up a test shoot. So now we cut to Miami locations. We see so much water in these interstitial shots. We see Givenchy, Louis Vuitton, and Alexia is at Alexia and Frankie's nail salon. That's what it's called. Alexia is speaking Spanish, saying, who is missing acetone? Who? And Marisol walks in. And they always have these scenes, it seems like, at the nail salon. And Alexia's like, I'm doing skinny people food. It's olives. And Marisol goes, I love skinny people food. It's my favorite. We don't believe that Marisol eats it all, though, unless they, it was like a vodka lollipop or something. Alexia says, even though there's cheese, I don't know if that's skinny people food. And Marisol goes, I love food. And Alexia goes, look how cute you are. And Marisol says, oh, thank you. I'm just trying to be like you. And they're both wearing black and white shoes. And this really tickles them. You ladies, you get tickled by just these clothing things. Like I've never just to be honest, I don't really hang out with guys but when I did hang out with guys a lot back pre-pandemic, we weren't always like, oh my God, are you wearing underwear too? Holy shit. Oh my God, tennis shoes. We're wearing tennis shoes. Like everything, all ladies get a kick out if you guys are wearing anything close to similar. That one Beverly Hills where like the three, like Erica, Lisa, and was it Garcelle, were all wearing that pink number and they all like freaked the fuck out for 20 minutes. So Alexia says, well, it's all worked out at the end of the day. My party worked out too. And Marisol says, the food was great. The liquor was premium. Thank God. Because if I start with a bad drink and I can't get a good drink, my whole night is off. Which once again, ding, 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 always not a great thing to say on national television. Like, and then a talking head, we see Marisol with her cocktail, and she goes, Marisol goes, a Marisol cocky is very stiff. Not so cocky, which is his cocktail. But I really am going to probably write a letter just complaining because I don't want to ever hear her say cocky again. Like, a Marisol cocky is very, very stiff. And she goes, not much mixer and never ice. And I'm like, Jesus, why don't you just drink it out of the bottle then? What are you taught? Never ice. I like a good old warm vodka. And she goes, too much mixer dilutes my cocky. Like my stomach's rumbling when I say it. Alexia says, I'm so happy we celebrated with our families. I don't know if you saw Peter went to the wedding. And she goes, yeah, I saw Peter at the wedding. And we get a flashback to him with his girlfriend. And Marisol goes, who's the new girl? And Alexia goes, it's not a new girl. It's the same girl. And Marisol goes, the girl from the arrest? And then Alexia says, the girl from the incident, I like to call it. She's like, I don't like to call it the arrest, the incident. We get a flashback to the reunion last season. And Andy's like, the most recent news was that your son Peter was arrested for charges of domestic abuse. And Alexia going, those are allegations, which we are denying. And we cut back to the scene, and Alexia is like a mom telling Marisol, well, she was, drunk off her ass. And he was trying for her not to leave. He grabbed the keys and, he was like, go home if you want to call your mom, but you can't drive like that because you're obviously drunk. That is such a mom thing of like, no, my son was being a hero. He wasn't being abusive. He was saying, you're so wasted. I don't want you to drive drunk. So I will take your keys forcibly. Listen, I wasn't there. I can't, but like mothers do this. And she is this overprotective Cuban mom. But also Peter has like a past of a lot of different incidents. If you look up his past behavior, that I don't know. I just hope it's hard, man, with family. It really is. You just overlook a lot of obvious behavior. But Marisol goes, and then Marisol, this is where she plays into the friendship too much. She goes, that's so responsible of him. That's amazing. I'm like, okay, Marisol. Alexi goes, yeah, Peter called me and he said, Mom, you need to come here because this is going to end up like this. And that's exactly how it ended up. And it's such a humiliating experience for him. This woman did this to him. And I'm like, oh, no, this woman did this to him. In a talking head, she's like, I was there. I saw my son go to jail, like handcuffed. And I was the one who had to get him out and do all of it. And now they're happily in love again. And I'm not, supposed to say anything. I can't think anything about it. And Marisol goes, he's still hanging out with her? And Alexia goes, I don't know. And Marisol says, well, that's not love. He's dick whipped, right? He's dick whipped. And Alexia goes, what does that mean? And Marisol goes, oh, no, he's pussy whipped. I'm sorry, I said it wrong. He's pussy whipped. And the talking head Marisol says, I love pussy whipping a man, by the way. I bet you do too, she says to the producer. And she has her cocky, right? That's, I've got my cocky. I love to pussy whoop with my cocky. I am Marisol. Yeah. Alexia says, what do I do? If this girl my son wants, I cannot make him choose between me and this girl. In a talking head, she goes, have you met her? Have you met me? I'm a Cuban mom. I want to protect him so bad. And that's definitely a Cuban mom. And she's speaking Spanish. She's like, I want to protect him from everything. I want him to figure out on his own, but I want him to know I'm going to be in his life forever. I'm not going to change. It's never going to happen. It's very threatening. Like and it's just because it's so resolute. Alexia says to Marisol, what do I do? Love conquers all. Love wins. I'm super romantic. Marisol says, well, that's me too. That's why we've been married 3 times each. We cut to more tall buildings. This is a scene with Larsa and her dog, her dog trainer, Jazz, Jas. And it's basically Larsa selling these Halo dog collars and finding a way to bring them on the show. And then she's like, you know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to make it so all the girls will have a dog party and I'll give them all Halo collars. And then we see this guy trying to train her 2 dogs and then help her film content for hi, I'm Larsa Pippen for Halo dog collars. You know what? I love putting a Halo dog collar on my dog. It obeys when I do. The dogs, by the way, seem like they're batshit crazy. She says they're not getting used to apartment living. And I'm like, hey, listen, I've never gotten used to it either. So this is just that dog. We've seen this dog trainer scene in so many, like they used to have one in Dallas. We've seen this scene a lot. I will say though, Larsa in white spandex is another time where she just has the huge Larsa ass, the BBL that has not been dissolved yet. So it's fun just to, it's like visual, it's like seeing Avatar. You're like the technology it takes just to watch this because you didn't the widescreen. Anyway, so the dog's being trained. They're gonna do this thing down the line. So we'll see that in another episode. They shoot this content. She keeps screwing up her lines, which I think is always funny when somebody's an influencer, but they're not really that great at it. Like they've got all the followers, they've got all that, but they're never like selling it. They're never like, I'll tell you why you need Halo dog collars. They're always like, I'll tell you why I like Halo dog collars. They're like, the collars are cool and it's great. She also makes a point to let us know that she was a political science major when she went to when she was in college, and she wanted to go to law school, but then she met Scotty out of college, and she started focusing on him and the kids, which is also interesting if true, because now you see her really focusing on herself. It feels like they've tried to be divorced forever, even though it's a recent divorce, but they've been separated for so long. But Larsa, a lot of people forget they haven't seen the first season of Miami when she was with Scotty and just a mother and a wife. And it's really interesting to see how she's changed completely. So then we cut to this beach scene where it's way too windy to be doing a beach scene, but they must have had this as a location. They're popping bottles. Nicole's there. Kiki comes out. Kiki's hat falls off. Alexia comes there. Everybody's making hat jokes about the wind. And they're talking about the wedding, how great it was. And Kiki goes, well, I had a whole thing with Frankie. He had a huge crush on me. And Xana, Lars's friend, Kiki tells Alexia. And we cut back to a flashback of Frankie on the boat where Frankie's talking to Kiki. He's like, you're so fucking beautiful, my love. You too, to Xana. And Xana shows him that she has a ring. And he goes, oh, no. Oh, no. I gotta say, Frankie is a pimp. P-I-M-P. This dude plays it. I find Frankie so charming. Alexia, so Alexia says, yeah, I called Frankie when I was on my way and I said I was meeting you girls. And he goes, Mom, be calm. Don't fight. Don't fight. Because he saw us fight the other night. And I just think it's so awesome that Frankie, she's like, no, Mom, I don't want you to fight with those ladies. Nicole says he saw Lisa in her feelings at the party get into a fight with Larsa, and it was bad. Julia comes with her muzzled dog, Zorro, who has a shoe on. Adriana comes in. Gertie comes in. They ask Nicole about her dad, if there's been any movement. And she goes, things have not been great with us. Mom got COVID. And who was the one who showed up, though, was my dad. And Alexia goes, yeah, your dad. I'm sure that touched your heart. And Nicole goes, it did, but I'm just not there yet to forgive him. And Alexia goes, it takes a while. You're holding a grudge for the past, but he had to go to prison. He had to miss all those years with you. He wasn't in your life because of that. And he's never going to make up those years. I lost my mom during COVID and my dad at a very young age. You're not going to have them forever. Which, by the way, my accent now is almost turning into Jersey a little bit. It's just it's really great. But Alexia in a talking head continues. She's like, I'm sorry, but I'm Cuban and you just have to accept your dad. I'm sorry, that's your dad. Nicole, you are like a little snotty little daughter. With my father and my mother, there's a certain respect. You start focusing on the good. I'm sure there's a lot. What she's saying here is really difficult, though, because it's like, I get what she's saying, but it's almost like you give your parents a free pass. But it's also very interesting how Alexia does that free pass thing with her son as well. In that situation she was just referring to with Marisol, there's a lot of things that have like, maybe we shouldn't, maybe we need to hold people accountable more. Maybe that is one of Alexia's kind of like flaws in a way, if there is any, because I think she is so amazing in so many ways. But maybe that's a flaw, is that she doesn't hold people accountable when they should be. Because I understand why Nicole has not been able to forgive her dad, and especially after seeing him in that scene last season. But Nicole's like, I know. So Gertie gets there and is like, oh, the party, the yacht was beautiful, but the only thing I didn't like was that there was tipping. You had tipping jars at the bar. Don't be begging for dollar bills. Don't be begging. I'm a Jersey. I'm Gertie's Jersey now. Don't be begging for dollar bills at a wedding. No, but she was just saying there was tip jars out. That's ridiculous. You don't do that at a classy wedding. I agree with that, actually. Adriana walks up and more jokes about the wind. And Julia says, hey, date number 2 last year, he moved up. I saw him at the wedding. We're, of course, talking about Terry. And Alexia says, yeah, so what happened with date number 1, Jacob, who was the other guy? And she goes, well, when we were in New York, he was there. And we cut to Andy at the reunion from last season. He going, any guys that have passed the 4-month no sex test? Because remember, she waits 4 months now to have sex with a guy. And she goes, yeah, Jacob, that was great. And it was worth the wait. Yes. But it turns out after the reunion, he stormed out and he came after her on social media. And he showed a video of her 2.5 years ago when she had just gotten divorced and her face looked just as horrible as she felt inside. And he released those pics, the before and the after, and he posted them and said, I'm popping her cherry. And she goes, he was so hurtful. I thought I knew him. And he wasn't who I thought he was. He was for a, like, I wasn't who thought he was. He wasn't worth entering me. he wasn't the man I thought he was to let him enter me. And Gertie says, access not permitted. And they all laugh. And they're all down to it, like, party walls, the moat, you have to be worthy. They're making a lot of parting Adriana's vagina wall jokes. Alexia asks about Terry, and Alexia goes, is he single? And Adriana's like, well, yeah, from what I heard. And Alexia goes, well, I hear he's very married. And Gertie's face is like, zoinks. And Adriana's like, well, I don't think he is. And Alexia goes, just check. It's worth the conversation. It's coming from a good place. I really want you to talk to him. And Alexia, in a talking head, says, oh, I would be a bad friend if I didn't tell her about that. And in talking head, Adriana says, you just got married to the man of your dreams. Why are you worried about my man? And Alexia says, sometimes it's too late. Like, there's a statute of limitations and you find out they're married too late. You need to find this out early in a relationship. I always think that is a good thing. You do want to find out usually if people are married earlier on. That's probably a good rule of thumb. Adriana in a talking head is like, who is feeding Alexia this information and why? And Alexia in a talking head is like, you should thank me, bitch. I like when they're going back and forth in talking heads and not to each other's faces. Adriana's on the beach and she's like, Adriana's like, I saw you at your highest high, Alexia. You gave me hope at your wedding. And then Alexia says, I want to give you all that hope. All of you are so amazing in every way. And that's why I'm a little disappointed in Larsa and Lisa, that they can't be here with us right now. But the energy would be a lot different. And Adriana's like, why didn't they come today? And they they go back to the fight about the hookers living in the only, whatever. But also, I thought it was very interesting of like what Alexia is saying, that you are all so amazing. I do think this franchise has a core group of friends that is really wonderful. They're not afraid to poke at each other, but seems like a baseline respect that they all have for each other. And I think that's really important. And it makes it for a more enjoyable show to watch. Nicole says, when Larsa heard that Lisa said something, she should have given her the benefit of the doubt because they've been friends for 10 years. And Alexia says, Larsa is upset with Lisa because she won't admit she has 2 mortgages. And Julia says, I have 2 mortgages. And Alexia is like, yeah, but she won't own it. And Gertie goes, she did own, she said it. And Alexia's like, no, she didn't, Gertie. No. And Gertie says, no. And Julia in a talking head goes, what's the point if you have mortgages? Is that a bad thing? What's your point? That's the thing. Mortgages sometimes aren't that bad of a thing. Nicole in a talking head's like, I don't care if you have a mortgage. I only care about what's in my bank account. And Adriana goes, when you have a mortgage, you own it, means you don't rent. And Nicole says, you guys, what if Lisa doesn't even know if she has a mortgage or not? And Alexia says, well, that's what I said. She's in the dark about her finances. I said, are you aware of your finances? And are you responsible? And she told me that she was like, oh yeah, I take care of everything. And we get a flashback of a FaceTime call where Lisa's like, yes, I do my bills. I pay all of that. I do all of it. It's kind of like the 40-year-old virgin, Steve Carell, of like, yes, the boobs feel so good. They feel like sand. And Alexia goes, you're the one that takes care of all of that in the house? And Lisa goes, yes, I do. Me and Lenny, we don't keep anything from each other like that. Alexia in a talking head goes, I don't really believe Lisa. I don't think she manages the finances. Men are very guarded and protective of their money. And Alexia on the beach says, I'm a very smart girl and I was clueless with my finances. When Herman, who was her second husband, who also was bisexual, we found out he was gay after the fact. She was like, I didn't even know what my mortgage payment was for my house. My name wasn't even on the deed. In a talking head, she goes, Herman kept me in the dark. I had a budget. And when I went over that budget, he would like cut me off, or I would have to beg or do other stuff. Which I'm like, what the hell is other stuff? Like other stuff, like butt stuff? Like, what do you mean other stuff? Like, it's like, I want to know more about the other stuff. Adriana says, yeah, when I was going through my divorce, I realized the house I was living in, right, that I was not even on the deed. And Alexia says, more importantly, why don't you look to see if you're even on the deed? If something happened, it's not your house, it's Lenny's house, which is just really dark foreshadowing. And Adriana's like, she's in the dark. And then all of a sudden, we cut to this sushi restaurant with Peter and Alexia, the mom and son, having this scene, and Peter comes out so mellow, dude. It's like he just woke up from a nap, or he wants about to take a nap, and he's just so subdued that it's like worries, it's like bothersome. And basically, this is just, she goes, you look sleepy. And he goes, I fell asleep early, and then I woke up and I watched the playoff games until 1:30. And she goes, I don't see Peter much these days since he got back with Lauren, spending more time with her and less with me. He just looks like he's about to nod off. And she goes, do you have fun at the wedding party? And he goes, yeah, so many people. I would turn around and Lauren asked if I knew everyone. And I said, yeah. And Alexia goes, I was happy you were there. I was your age too. And she was really, I know she loves you and you love her. And he goes, for me to take it seriously, my energy and all that, it's because of something. And Alexia goes, right. I'm happy to see you dancing and you had fun. I'm trying to do my best because my parents were so tough on me, Peter. And when I met your dad, I said I was marrying your dad, and my mom didn't speak to me for a whole year. And years after that, when I met Herman, my mom didn't approve of that either. And it put me in the position I had to pick her or the man I was with. And I always said to myself, I would never going to do that to you. And he goes, but every time I bring a girl around you, I need to get your approval. It's always a problem. And Alexia goes, I'm sorry. I did the best that I could. I will own it. I'm tough that way. But with Lauren, that was crazy situation we were in. I mean, it was crazy. He got arrested. And Peter goes, every girl I've dated, they said the same thing. You're very difficult. Like, oh my God, difficult women again. Of course, Peter, it's everybody's fault but yours. And Alexia is like, anything I done or said, it's because I love you. And Peter's like, you just need to give people a chance. You're very defensive at first. It's always coming between my relationships, always. Oh, I'm the problem, apparently. I feel like the mom always gets the beatings, but your dad is perfect, right? The girls are perfect. The girls are perfect. All the women, I'm the imperfect one. I'm the bad. The bad one is me. And Peter goes, no, I tell you, because I want things to be good and not awkward. Well, I'm sorry for being who I am, but I'm never going to let any woman come between us. That is for sure, because I am not going anywhere. Very threatening about like how much she loves him. And then all of a sudden we cut to nighttime in Miami. And Lisa goes, Lenny. And he goes, yes, my queen. Fucking douchebag. And she goes, come here. We have a surprise for you. And her little son Logan's there. And he made his daddy a pizza. And he's like, wow, you made this, Logan? And the little daughter made a cheese pizza for her dad. And he made a pepperoni. And he's like, well, this isn't on my diet. I'm like, you eat that damn pizza, you idiot. These are your kids. You're trying to get skinny for your 27-year-old whore. And Lisa goes, well, your dad's a skinny legend, but you can have a bite of your son's pizza. And Lenny's like, okay, I'll take a little bite of the pepperoni. And Lisa goes, haha, we're sabotaging your diet. Which now I think it's not funny because Lenny's probably like, you bitch, you don't want me to look good for my 27-year-old girlfriend. And Lisa goes, Lenny, look who's here. It's Chef Calvin. And Chef Calvin is making a whole branzino, a healthy fish for Lenny, which means Lisa did put some thought into this. And he's like, yes, I can eat that. In a talking head, Lisa says, I decided to do something different out of the ordinary, and I hired a chef, Calvin, to set up a beautiful romantic dinner under the moonlight at our house. We've been together so long, and it's super important to keep that spark alive, and I hope he appreciates this. They walk outside, and he's like, look at this. It's like he hasn't been in his house in a while. And she goes, yeah, we never eat out here. Can you believe it? You do get the sense that they don't really hang out as much as they want you to believe they do in the show, or that Lisa wants us to believe that they do. She goes, can you believe in the last 6 years we have not sit out to eat once? What is wrong with us? And that, by the way, that's even including the pandemic. I also wonder how big of a hit Lenny's finances took a hit during the pandemic. Lisa says, my bear, my baby bear, even your face looks tighter. And he's like, has this big goofy grin. And I'm like, I wonder if that grin is like, I've got a secret. I'm fucking somebody else. And she's like, you're looking good. You're looking good. And she goes, you used to have a fatter face for sure. And he goes, yeah, I'm so embarrassed how I used to look. And they do a flashback, and it's like, he didn't look that different, you guys. Like, he's just Lenny. He's just a guy named Lenny. She goes, well, obviously I loved it how you looked, and I love how you look even more now. You look younger than ever, and it's stressing me out because I have to step it up now. And she's like fishing for that compliment, and I'm like, oh, this is so dark. The chef comes out and he's like, well, we're starting off with this Purple Rain Don Julio with a little lemon smoky liquid nitrogen bullshit thing, and they all toast to that. And you can just tell Lenny just thinks she's dumb, like the way he looks at her. I don't know. It's just weird. Then the first course is ahi tuna live, and there's like a live fish at the bottom. I don't even understand what this was, but they said there was a live fish in it. I don't know. Then they start talking about the Jack situation. And I'm not talking about Jax Taylor, but their dog. Their dog, they're going to have to put to sleep because of some issues that they're having with, like, he can't walk on his back legs. And like, dog scenes just kill me, and especially when a dog is hurting. So this broke my heart to even hear. And they were talking about, Lisa's like, how do you think we should tell the kids and tell the son? And Lenny's like, how did you find out how to talk to the kids about it? And I'm like, Lenny, you're a fucking doctor. You should know it. It's like, this is part of your, I mean, I guess he's probably not having, like, we had to give you double D's. There's a chance you might die. Lisa says, I've been Googling it, especially for Logan, because at his age, he understands life and death. So I think it's best to let him say goodbye. And if you have any ideas, though, please tell me, she says to Lenny. And he says, I never know how to tell kids. And I was like, I think these are your only kids. So how would you? Probably haven't had a lot of practice. The next course is this smoked king crab with Russian caviar with a little lemon butter. And she's like opening the crab leg, but she wants him to do it. And she's like, obviously, I can't do everything by myself. She's like, obviously, I can do everything by myself, but I want you to do it for me. And I'm like, this is just so sad because you know what happens with the cheating. And then she goes, oh, anyway, it's so funny. When I went to Alexia's wedding, and Lars and I had a conversation, and I said, I'm sorry I hurt you, but what you said about me and Lenny was malicious. And she said, I work very hard for what I have. And I said, it's like, you're newly divorced after 20 years of marriage. I can't imagine that Lars is in a place like that. I really can't. So I understand why she has lashed out at me the way she has. And I like this because, like, I'm just trying to read Lenny's face of like, yeah, maybe you'll be newly divorced soon too. And Lenny's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah. And he goes, that's right. And she says, I sympathize with Larsa for sure. But she said, not only do you guys have one mortgage, you have two mortgages. And he goes, well, you know what that is. And she goes, yeah. And I was like, I don't even know what that is. She goes, yeah, which is also, in the moment, I didn't say it was in our home equity line of credit, which also has a zero balance. This feels like she was coached by Lenny to say, oh, yes, I do know. It's our home equity line of credit, which has a zero balance. And he goes, that's right. I opened it if I ever needed some cash, and I didn't want to sell off any of our securities. So it's just easy way to get cash. And she goes, yeah, totally. I don't think she has a clue what she's agreeing to here. And he goes, but so far, I opened it 4 years ago. I haven't taken a penny out of it yet. I wonder how much of it he spent on that other lady with the lip licker. And she goes, yeah, I told Lars that this conversation is beneath me. And he goes, yeah, she's embarrassing herself because she doesn't know what a home equity line of credit is. I mean, that's pretty embarrassing. This is that point where you always want one of it's like those Fox News commercials where, like, Ed Asner's like, well, I'm here to talk about home equity loans, Liddy. Thanks for setting me up. With our home equity loans, you can get, like, cash for gold. Lisa says, I mean, yeah. And then she threw this on me, and all you do is, like, lean. She says, all you do is lean on Lenny, and she's knocking me, for doing that. And we all know that's not true. We lean on each other, Lenny, because we're in a marriage. I lean on you and you lean on me. And that's a partnership. That's a marriage, right? So cheers to our debt-free home, she says. And he's like, haha, cheers to our debt-free home. So dark, you guys. It's so dark. a worker comes out, is like, sorry, Lisa, Dr. Lenny, I need to tell you something. And one of their staff, I think, took a fall in the shower. I don't know why they were showering there. Maybe they live there, and they think she broke her arm in the shower, and they have to call 911. And so Lisa's like, oh my God. And they all come in, and they talk to her, and they're like, okay, it's your wrist. And Lenny goes, are you okay? And Lisa says, I'm calling an ambulance. And Lenny says, someone needs to take you to the hospital. Yeah, Lisa, you don't need to call the ambulance, Lisa. You need an exit. You just need to get her over in a car. You need to drive her over there. And Lisa goes, I'm calling an ambulance. And Lindsay says, Lindsay's like, no, you don't need to call an ambulance, Lisa. You don't need an ambulance. You just need to, let's just go to Mount Sinai. And she's asking the staff, who can take her? And she goes, why not an ambulance? And Lindy goes, ambulances are for people in an emergency. This is just her wrist. So we're going to put some ice on it. We're going to send her in a car, take her to the hospital, and get it checked out. And then she decides to ask the chefs there, the private chefs, should I call 911? And they're like, we would. And Lenny goes, no, Lisa, don't call 911. That's an abuse of the system. And Lisa's like, I hope she's okay. And Lenny goes, fine. Lenny goes, she didn't break her neck. Let's put it into perspective. And that's the end. And he like such an asshole. Like somebody hurt themselves in their house, one of their workers. And next week they have like a romantic dinner with Lisa and Lenny, but it's like, and then at the very end of the preview for next week, episode 4, he's on mic with a hot mic moment where he says he might be getting a divorce soon. Okay, you guys, what a weird, wacky show today was. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching on YouTube, hey, you guys, and come back on Wednesday for a year in review, a 2022 year in review. I'll talk to you guys on Wednesday. Bye.